Number 10, the Spectre. Let's start off with a different type of immortality, one coming from a character who was never mortal to begin with. Kinda. The Spectre first appeared in More Fun Comics number 52 back in 1940. Now the Spectre, because of this, dates all the way back to the Golden Age. At first, the Spectre was Jim Corrigan, a man whose soul was denied entry into the afterlife by a being known as the Voice, and is instead sent back to fight evil. This, however, was after he was murdered. He would create a costume and call himself the Spectre. However, the version fans would become more familiar with, and who would become the more iconic, was the Silver Age version, which would tweak the Spectre to a spirit of vengeance, who would possess hosts and have them act as a vessel for delivering his brutal brand of justice. This way, you could still also have the Jim Corrigan backstory, but the Spectre could also possess other characters, like for example, Hal Jordan. He was the Spectre after he snapped and killed the entire Green Lantern Corps and Sinestro. But it's fine, it was parallax. I mean, you'd think a cosmic being would know that, but it doesn't matter, except the retcon, so no one has to feel bad. The Spectre has waned in popularity in the modern era and isn't seen anywhere near as much as he used to be. Number 9, Franklin Richards. The son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm Richards of the Fantastic Four. Franklin possesses a terrifying Omega-level power set that has only grown over the years. Franklin first appeared in Fantastic Four Annual number 6 back in 1968 and only just became a teenager. Happy birthday. Now, Franklin's immortality is implied because, well, you'd have to jump through some hoops to explain it via his power set. But he has been placed on the same level as the Celestials and depicted as one of the last beings alive at the end of the universe, just chilling with Galactus. The cosmic set have already taken notice of Franklin because he can essentially do anything. Because of this, he is a very desired player on all sides because he's also so dangerous. Hence why in canon at the time of this recording, the Mutant Separatist movement wants him on their side and not allied with his human meta-powered parents, or mutate-powered. He has been shown in certain future timelines to be able to kill Celestials. So in short, Franklin Richards is one to sit up and take notice of. It almost makes his superhero name Powerhouse sound cool. Almost. Number 8, the Hulk. The Hulk is currently, at the time of this recording, in a comic called The Immortal Hulk. And it means what it says. The Hulk is immortal. And this isn't the only time he has been depicted as such. In the very depressing storyline The End, he was shown to be the last person on Earth, utterly alone after his counterpart Bruce Banner died. Hulk is loneliness there is. In the Immortal Hulk, Banner cannot die properly and instead is dragged back to life by the Hulk if his form is killed. The transformations in this comic are depicted as monstrous and Cronenberg-esque, and the punishment the Hulk can take is immense, such as having his whole body cut up and separated into jars. This is while his mind stays intact and he can just watch what's happening to him. There are some truly horrifying prospects attached to proper immortality. The run started off as a really solid horror and then kind of started diving into multiple personalities and a companion who wanted to be the Hulk because he was allowed to be angry. Remember when the Hulk was sent into space? How about his friends and allies and how they fear him and never really trust him? How about how he lives life, drifting from place to place? How he's a danger to people that love him. The right to be angry. Okay.
Coming in at number 7, we have Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. As the physically strongest member of the Fantastic Four with an intimidating appearance to boot, the Thing is respected throughout the Marvel world for always having his family's back, and even being capable of standing up to someone as powerful as the Hulk when the need arises. Ben's change into a being made out of a mysterious rock-like substance also had some unexpected side effects, however, such as the fact that while in Thing form, he never ages. This is offset slightly by the fact that Ben is capable of appearing human for 1 day a year due to the tinkering of the rest of the Fantastic Four, but aging only 1 day a year extends your lifespan dramatically, and combine that with all of the near-death situations or universal collapses that the Fantastic Four have avoided together, and Ben Grimm definitely earns the title of being practically immortal.
Number 6, Hercules. Hercules plays a decently large role in the Marvel Universe. He debuted in Journey into Mystery Annual number 1 back in 1965, but that's because his first appearance in Avengers Forever was later said to be that of an imposter. Hercules here is immortal because he is an Olympian god in this continuity, and thus gets all the perks, no being a doorman for him. Now, Hercules had a fake-out death fairly recently at the time of this recording, where it looked as though the universe he was fighting in had ceased to exist, been destroyed. However, Amadeus Cho was able to discover that he was in fact still alive. Hercules is a good friend and rival to Thor, you know, like an anime. Hercules has also sacrificed his powers only to have them mysteriously return. Why? Who knows? Phantom Stranger. I know, different companies. Although now there may be a reason. That's what retcons are for.
Number 5. While Wonder Woman has always been semi-immortal, as of her New 52 relaunch, she's actually been fully immortal. And considering she was impressively strong before that, adding the powers of superhuman speed, accelerated healing, and flight pretty much clinched her being on this list. Heck, she's even gained the powers of Ares, the god of war, so add that to her ever-growing list. And let's face it, with Gal Gadot being her new face, how can you not love her?
Number 4. Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is an interesting case because no matter the origin, there is always at least implications, if not the downright statement, that she is immortal. Be she made of clay or the daughter of Zeus. Indeed, for a time, all Amazons on Paradise Island, later renamed Themyscira, were said to be immortal. Diana is a goddess and a warrior, and a compassionate leader, walking an intriguing balance of kindness and pragmatism. That is hard for all writers to capture. And of course, she is a staple in some of those "it's a dystopian future but Wonder Woman is still here" stories. This is part of why some fans love pairing her with Superman. As while it varies, he is definitely more long-lived than most mortals.
Coming in at number 3, we have the notoriously durable Wolverine. When Wolverine was first introduced in the comics, his healing ability was just a quirk that made him a more intimidating warrior. Any cuts or bruises would just quickly become a non-issue to him. But as time went on and Wolverine became a more popular character, his healing abilities as a mutant became one of his most defining features, even more so than his iconic claws. Wolverine's healing abilities, combined with his indestructible adamantium skeleton, have been shown to be so great over the years that he's even been able to withstand the full force of a nuclear bomb, and getting his entire body ripped in half by the Ultimate Hulk. Even in the few instances where someone has been able to officially kill Wolverine, he's somehow found his way back to the land of the living through time travel or magical means, ensuring that Wolverine will live on to fight another day.
Number 2. The Sentry. The Sentry is immortal. Don't ask how, they explain it, but just let it be. He took a serum that places molecules a second or two ahead in time. This activated a photosynthetic Superman-style response, which allowed him to store energy and power himself. Immortal. No matter how it came about, the Sentry is immortal, and that is part of what makes him, or made him, so dangerous for a long time. At least in terms of the Sentry's existence, which only dates back to 2000. He was two entities, both the Sentry and the Void, who was a dark mirror to the Sentry. So if he existed forever, so too did the Void. It was part of why the Marvel Universe was made to forget about him, which was the crux of his retconned in origin story. At the time of this recording, his two halves have fused, reconciled. Where does it have to go from there? We shall see. And in at number 1, Dr. Manhattan. John Osterman's whole life changed after the accident that transformed him into Dr. Manhattan. He was the Watchmen universe's only superpowered man, a being of pure energy who recreated himself outside of time and space, and changed everything. Dr. Manhattan has only grown more and more distant from people and the world, largely because he can exist outside of time, seeing all of it simultaneously. He is completely immortal and omnipotent. And of course, there was Doomsday Clock, which brought the Watchmen and DC universes into proper contact with each other, and which essentially concluded with there's gonna be more timelines and crises and a crossover. 100% worth a wait of 2 years. Not salty at all.
Sam Guthrie, aka Cannonball, has been both an X-Man and an Avenger, and due to his apparent status as an external, is believed to be immortal. His powers are based around the ability to generate thermochemical energy and release it from his skin, then using that energy to propel his body through the air at fantastic speeds, effectively making him, as his name states, a human cannonball. Compared to the rest of this list, he is definitely lacking in the variety of powers department, but really, any superhero with immortality is going to be an asset, and I'd be happy to have him in my corner. Number 9. Thor is only borderline immortal, since he can be killed by Ragnarok. That said, it's not permanent because of the cycle of rebirth, and it's also a comic and he's not Ben Parker, so Thor will always be back. At least, that's what it appears to be anyway. Regardless, Thor's powers are well known, especially given his prolific role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But let's take a quick look at those. Obviously, we have superhuman strength, speed, durability, and, as long as he's eating the golden apples, stay in his physical prime. And with Mjolnir, he possesses dimensional transportation, a form of flight, and weather manipulation, and that's more than enough for me to say he's worthy of being on this list. Number 8. I am gonna call this one potentially immortal, simply because while he can die. He's also been seen living 800 years in the future in the X-Force/Cable one-shot Messiah War, so seemingly, as long as no one kills Deadpool, he'll keep living. And given this character has, or should have been killed more times than I can count, killing him doesn't seem to be enough to stop him from coming back. So, I'm going to go ahead and add him to this list.
In at number 7, the Phantom Stranger. This is another cosmic entity, and this one with no origin by design. Who is the Phantom Stranger? No one knows. The Phantom Stranger first debuted in Phantom Stranger #1, all the way back in 1952. Who is he? Well, he is a mysterious figure who just kinda shows up when he is needed. Sometimes, not all the time. He also has abilities that can do what is needed, most of the time. And of course, he is vague and cryptic, for sometimes not even he knows why he was drawn to an event. Because of how vague all of this was, not only has the Phantom Stranger been depicted very differently depending upon the writer, but he never really caught on too well. It's hard to get attached to a mystery person who shows up sometimes cuz. He did show up that one memorable issue though where Superman became a marine vampire. Never forget. Phantom Stranger, just cuz.
Number 6. Artemis is actually a fairly new character, not to be confused with Artemis Croc. This, fully known as Artemis of Banamigdal, is an Amazon who left to recover the Bow of Ra, and became an ally of Red Hood and Bizarro in the process. Much like Wonder Woman, Artemis is immortal thanks to being a child of Hera, although she can be killed in battle. She basically has the same base set of powers that Wonder Woman possesses: superhuman strength, agility, stamina, durability. So if Wonder Woman can make the cut on this list, I'd say Artemis is definitely worthy. Speaking of which,
coming in at number 5, we have Kevin Connor, aka STARBRAND. Taking his name from the literal star brand he possesses, Kevin is one of the most powerful heroes to ever be called an Avenger, gaining his powers during an Earth-wide cosmic flash known as the White Event. Gaining the ability to control and manipulate energy at a scale only limited by his imagination, STARBRAND is incredibly physically powerful and capable of healing any wound on both himself or any of his allies. STARBRAND is so powerful that he's one of the few beings to ever kill a Beyonder, destroying one of the multiversal beings when the Marvel Universe was collapsing in a massive explosion, yet somehow reappearing unharmed once the Marvel Universe was restored. And if you can heal from an explosion at the end of all existence, I think you might be able to survive pretty much anything.
Number 4. The Phantom Stranger is an interesting immortal, specifically in that he doesn't even seem to be killable. The guy has had his heart removed and still didn't die. His origins are as of yet unknown, but several stories have circulated, including that he's a fallen angel who chose no side between heaven and hell, and thus must walk the earth for all eternity. Another states that he is a citizen of another universe, who at the end of the previous universe passed over to the new universe. That's actually really interesting. This might be just me, but I've always loved fictionized biblical characters. Anyway, Phantom Stranger's powers include dimensional travel, Eldritch Blast, spectral sight, illusion casting, oneromancy, and reality manipulation, just to name a few. So, this guy's kind of amazing, and his only real limitation is his inability to directly intervene with, well, anything. Which kind of makes him sound like, well, some might say, God.
Number 3, Thor. Thor is meant to be immortal as he is a god from Asgard, but Thor keeps dying. Now, he is meant to be extremely long-lived, but for all intents and purposes immortal. However, Thor has been killed on more than one occasion, most recently by Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. Thor's deaths are unique as well, for they play on his mythological origins. So instead of just vanishing, he goes to Valhalla or other realms and can continue to have adventures there. So there is the idea that even if he's gone, he's not fully gone, and people know where to go get him.
Number 2. Yeah, the fact that the Phoenix Force has ever been stopped is amazing to me. I mean, the Phoenix Force is an ancient cosmic entity that represents life that has not yet been born, and the forces of creation and destruction. It's immortal, and was born of the void between states of being. Its very birth just sounds like a god. In addition, it is the nexus of all psionic energy in all realities of the Omniverse, and is among the most feared beings in the entire universe, and is able to cut and regrow any part of the universe as well as destroy it entirely. And given the aliases it's had over the years, the World Destroyer, the end of all that is, the Big Bang, Chaos Bringer, and Ravager of Worlds, I think it's safe to say that this immortal cosmic entity's strength is pretty boundless. Now if they could just make a good movie about it. Number 1. I'm surprised I don't hear more about the Sentry. So, the Sentry was originally named Robert Reynolds, a middle-aged man who obtained his power from a special serum he took as a boy. The result was he obtained immeasurable power, but another being came to be known as the Void. The Void turned out to be Robert's other half, and as long as the other exists, the other can never die. They will always come back. And in the most recent volume of Sentry from 2018, the Void and Robert have finally merged together, becoming whole once again and possessing power greater than they ever had while separate, which was already pretty much off the charts. So who knows how powerful this guy is now. That said, an immortal being who can't be stopped by a team of Avengers? Gotta give it to them. That is power.
Coming in at number 10, we have Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. One of America's very first superheroes in the Marvel Universe during the Second World War, Steve Rogers is notorious for dodging certain death after surviving his plane crashing into the frozen Atlantic Ocean through suspended animation. Even since becoming a modern hero, however, Cap still can't seem to stay dead, with the occasion where he seemed to be assassinated by Crossbones actually resulting in his consciousness traveling through time. An inconvenient misadventure, but certainly less permanent than death. And given the fact that the Super Soldier Serum also seems to at least drastically slow Steve's aging, and Captain America just might be more immortal than you'd think. Coming in at number 9, we have Alec Holland, aka the Swamp Thing. The being that now calls itself Alec Holland is in reality the Avatar of the Green, an immortal being dedicated to protecting all nature and plant life on planet Earth, that absorbed the memories and consciousness of a man named Alec Holland after a tragic chemical explosion in the swamps of Louisiana. As long as there exists some form of plant life on Earth, the Swamp Thing can regrow his body from this plant and transfer his consciousness, essentially ensuring that there'll always be an Avatar of the Green protecting Earth, and that the memory of Alec Holland will truly never ever die. Coming in at number 8, we have Jean Grey, aka the Dark Phoenix. An X-Men storyline and character turn so iconic that they've tried turning it into a movie on 2 separate occasions, Jean Grey has long been one of the ideal hosts of the Phoenix Force, a fiery power that's one of the oldest in the Marvel Universe. This incredible force is capable of healing any injury that Jean receives, and is even capable of resurrecting her entirely if she's killed by unnatural means. Combined with her natural mutant abilities already making her one of the most powerful telepaths in the entire Marvel Universe, potentially rivaling even those of Professor X, and Jean Grey will be one of the most important mutants for many, many ages to come.
Number 7. Yep, Superman's immortal. At least, as long as he isn't killed. Although, let's be real, that hasn't stopped him yet either. Action Comics 1000 depicted a story of Superman bidding farewell to the Earth, and more specifically, his parents, shortly before it would be consumed by the sun, confirming that Superman could not die of natural causes. But also, in a sweet moment, we witness Clark question life, even now that he's billions of years old. We see him question what it was all for and why he keeps coming back. We already know Superman is strong, but that goes without saying. But even with everything he's experienced over the length of his incredibly long life, we see that the true strength of Superman is in his considerate nature and the strength of his heart, even in the last moments of the Earth.
Coming in at number 6, we have the Incredible Hulk, aka Bruce Banner. Considering the Hulk's most popular and critically acclaimed series of the last decade was literally called The Immortal Hulk, obviously the big green guy earns a spot on this list. Built around the twist that the Incredible Hulk has always been immortal and that Bruce Banner first died during the original Gamma Bomb explosion and has been constantly resurrecting ever since, this series took the Hulk into a wild new body horror direction. With all Gamma-powered beings apparently being connected to the One Below All in a way that allows them to circumvent even the natural process of death, the Hulk is apparently a problem that can never be permanently solved.
Number 5, Iron Man. Going for a more unconventional form of immortality with Tony Stark. Now Tony is very frail, even by human standards. For a time he needed to be in his Iron Man suit just to survive. And despite all the enhancements he built into his suits, at one point fusing them to him permanently with nanites, he was still brutally killed by his friend Captain Marvel Carol Danvers. This was during Civil War II, and it was because he didn't want to arrest people before they did crimes. However, Tony did not die. No, he managed to AI himself, and then build a new body, which has led to an interesting arc in his 2018 run about AI rights. You know, like those Voyager episodes. So Tony can be immortal, since he has found a way to transfer his consciousness into a digitized format, and hence make himself downloadable into robot bodies. However, every now and again, he must contend with the idea of, is he real? Does he have a soul? Are we just supposed to pretend he's real, Tony, and forget Civil War II happened? Probably.
Coming in at number 4, we have Thor Odinson, the god of thunder. While several Marvel and DC superheroes have godlike powers, Thor is one of the very few that counts as a literal god. Having protected both Midgard and Asgard for thousands upon thousands of years, Thor has already had eons worth of adventures by the time we were introduced to the character in the comics. And according to all the storylines that feature an older All-Father Thor, he'll continue to outlive the rest of the Avengers by thousands and thousands of years more. With even the Norse apocalypse of Ragnarok focusing on the concept of renewal and rebirth, Thor is a heroic god that will likely never truly see a permanent end.
Number 3. Yep, Dr. Manhattan couldn't be missed on this list. He's insanely powerful, seemingly impossible to harm, and can restore his body when disintegrated and be just fine. He doesn't breathe, he doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep, and just to top it all off, he's immortal. He's basically one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. As far as being a hero goes, however, he's always kind of towed the line. As far as Immortals go, he's similar to Phantom Stranger in that he seems to be disconnected from humanity and only intervenes when he feels it's necessary. So given his power levels and immortal status, and that god attitude, he's on the list.
Coming in at number 2, we have the one and only Superman. Perhaps the most iconic superhero of all time, Superman is also where giant death of a hero events hit their peak, with the huge 90s cultural moment of the death of Superman. After a grueling multi-issue battle through the streets of Metropolis that saw Superman giving up his life to defeat the unstoppable killer Doomsday, it appeared that the Man of Steel was dead for good. However, after a long storyline that saw multiple imposter Supermen show up, Superman was shown to have not truly died, but merely been placed in Kryptonian stasis until he was able to be healed enough to resume being a superhero. Even after the beating of a lifetime from a complete monster, Superman remained unstoppable and has remained unkillable to this day. And finally, coming in at our top spot, we have the Venom symbiote. In a potential alternate future seen in the one-off story called Venom: The End, it was revealed that the most famous symbiote in the Marvel Universe has a longer shelf life than you'd expect. Keeping his host Eddie Brock alive for hundreds of years past a normal human lifespan, this story explores the symbiote finally letting go of its oldest friend and becoming the sole organic being left in a universe slowly dying to an artificial intelligence plague known as the God Mind. The symbiote wound up being the very last living thing before the universe was reset, showing that the most immortal creature in the Marvel Universe might just be a pile of black goo. No offense, Venom.